Recapping last week here, our performance at Michigan. Defensively, I thought three players played well, and Bobby Richardson, Timmy Bennett, Chase Dutra. Chase was our defensive player of the game. The guys we thought had winning performances. We need more than just three. Not just because Chase had to pick. I think he had 7 opportunities to make some plays one-on-one, plays on the ball, etc. And really just did a nice job. Good to see, and thought he played really, really well. Again, Timmy and Bobby were solid as well, but only one guy played the game. We typically give that to 1 or 2. From a defense standpoint, gave him some missed opportunities, a chance to get some stops, got hands on the ball, got position to get some things, gave the quarterback several times way too much time to protect in our 4-man pressure. I didn't like the last possession. Even though the game was at hand, we give up, basically half the field, 50 cheap yards on 2 runs. Didn't like that from the week before. We kind of had hung in there and played some decent run defense and battled. Our red zone defense we got to get some stops. Hold them to 3 after the 2 turnovers, get a stop and get a block or get a turnover. Again, we've allowed people to score when they get down there. So, we're going to play in some games, have a chance to be close. We got to get some stops and minimize points. So from a defensive deal, missed some opportunities. The red zone defense has got to pick up, got to be more consistent. And the last possession, we just didn't like when they hit the 2 runs on us when the game was kind of over. Offensively, we didn't recognize anyone as a player of the game from across the board, whether it be up front, perimeter, skill players. Issues there. Again, we didn't like our 2 fumbles. Gave them the ball in the 27 and the 20 for 14 of their points. In general, just across the board, didn't play physical like we need to. Up front, running game, perimeter, run or pass, play like we need to physically or hard. We're going to work hard to address that with 4 games, 1/3 of the season remaining. Passing game, balance. It's obvious there where we're at. We got a lot of work to do, but we got to keep at it and get the ball down the field in space and more consistent. We've done our last 2 games. And really for the year, we got to be a little bit better. We've had a couple decent outings, but we got to be a lot better there with our young receivers and putting our plan together. Special teams, we didn't recognize a player of the game, but we didn't think our special team, we missed a field goal that bounced off the crossbar, but we didn't have a lot of critical errors. We just didn't think that we created anything positive in the kicking game. So it didn't really hurt us. It didn't haunt us. But at the same time, when you're on the road and in conference games like that, you got to make a play or 2. Had one nice return by Jay Sean, one decent return punt by Shane Wynn, but really didn't have anything. Didn't have bad performances. Didn't have a lot of things glaring we didn't like, but didn't make anything that we needed. Scout players of the week, Tony Thomas, Tyler Burgett on defense. A couple of our second and third year guys that are walk-ons defensively did a good job. Offensively, Chandler Miller, backup receiver, a non-scholarship player, and Wes Martin, a guy that's doing really well. We're redshirting that we're excited about, and he's playing a little bit at guard, but also learning some center, and he's doing well for a young guy behind the scenes. Penn State this week, strong program, solid opponent. Coming in, they've lost a few, but again, like our opponent last week, they've lost to some good teams. They're 4-4. Coach Franklin has always done a great job through his career, not just as a head coach, but as an assistant. So a lot of respect for he and all other coaches. I know it's their first year. Hackenberg, their quarterback, is one of the better players in our conference. They're going to throw the ball quite a bit. Their running game, I know one of their backs, a good player, got injured a week ago, but with Belden, they do some things at Wildcat. They do some stuff to kind of to get the run game going, but it starts with their quarterback and getting the ball down the field to some young receivers that are very, very good. Strength of their team is a very, very strong defense. I think first in our league, 6th or 7th in the country in rush D at 77 yards a game. Very good in score defense. Less than half the time, people are getting touchdowns in the scoring zone. So an outstanding defense that does a great job in run D and has kept every game very, very close, very, very manageable. Took Ohio State to overtime a few weeks ago, so the games they've lost have been close games, and it starts because they play great defense. And then you guys are, I guess, aware, but again, behind the scenes last week, Murphy got recognized. It's a pretty neat deal for him. The National Football Foundation deal that came out Thursday is a huge honor. Great student, solid player. That's a tremendous honor for him. I think he's the 5th Hoosier. I think Ben Chappell was our last one in 2010. So that's a great thing for he and his family, our program. And I think today Tevin Coleman was named a Maxwell finalist, so he keeps getting some deserved recognition, and we'll keep him trying to play and keep our team getting a lot better. With 1/3 of the season, we need to play good these last 4 and finish strong, get these seniors out of here the right way, and keep pressing this program, get us into a bowl, and keep moving here. Questions?
pass protection. What kind of changes have you seen the past couple of weeks? It seems that Xander, besides the problems that he's had, he also doesn't seem to have as much time to throw as maybe Nate did.
Yeah, well, even if, and good question, because the thing we've talked about, we've got to find some ways, and Penn State's very solid up front. Their one inside player, Zettles, a tremendously active, great player, that even when maybe it's not necessarily breaking down, it's collapsing. So, he feels it kind of like, my previous boss might say you're throwing out of a well and you can't step and you just feel things are in your face. So we've talked about firming it up. We missed one the other day in a blitz and just cut a guy loose at one time at one of our sacks. But, in general, when you think you're not throwing well, you first look at quarterback protections as much as anything. Then it's routes and route timing and sync with receivers. And then does the quarterback see it and deliver it? That's really the last part of it. So we've talked about it here since Sunday. What can we do to help ourselves out? We tried to move the pocket a little bit the other day. Wasn't that good for you. You start moving the pocket, that's nice. You can get him out you think you can see, but then also the defense can flood and cover half the field. So, but we have talked about our protection needs to be a lot firmer. Second play, third play of the game was basically a flare route that our protection was so soft he would not throw the flare because the rush defender was upfield and he didn't want to throw it over the guy. And it should be almost like a run block. So we got some things to clean up across the board in the pass.
When you play Penn State, I think Hackenberg has been sacked like 30 times, and most of them in the Big Ten. Obviously the key is to put pressure on him. What do you guys need to do to firm up the pressure that you can get from your front four so you don't have to? Again,
activity, not working the edge of the old lineman, not getting thick, head up, working a half man. Some passion. The other day we sacked the guy at 7 seconds. The other day, and so our coverage was. Typically we tell our quarterbacks at about 3.5 it needs to be gone. The 4 is pushing it. And so we had several plays the other day that were 5 and 6 and 7 or 4-man deal. Now, Michigan did some max protection, kept the tight end in, gapped it up, did some things to get it firm and to work some double moves. And we really didn't get penalized with a lot of big passing plays in that deal. But we've got to get there because if you say you're going to blitz to create pressure, fine, you're hanging your coverage out. So you got to do a little bit of both. But that was, to me, one of the disappointing things of Saturday was not that we didn't have more sacks on him, but he had too much time. And whether we get sacks, you got to stop the run and run it. And then offensively, you got to protect your quarterback or get after the quarterback. And to me, I think that's where it starts. And from there, it's ball security and scoring. And so from a defensive deal, your ability to stop the run and make the quarterback uncomfortable. And that should be the gist of Coach North's thoughts and playing every week. And last week, we had a couple of opportunities on Gardner, but we got him a little too comfortable. And I think, Christian Hackenberg be the same way. I think every quarterback, I don't care if it's Peyton Manning and Tom Brady yesterday playing in their game, if a quarterback throws on his terms, he can eventually, there's a lot of space and grass. And with the nuances of this day and age passing game, guys are going to get open. So the best thing to do is to minimize that time and make that quarterback work. So we'll look at it. I don't think pressures are answered, but we got to find some ways to continue to get there. And some of it's going to be in player development and recruiting. We got to get a little bit more dynamic and plays making some one-on-one plays.
What's the health status on Nate Boudreaux? How is he?
It was okay last night. Getting to be 10. The thing he doesn't have. He's got a shoulder sprain, but the deal is it's just throwing sides. So as you go through the week, if it's the left side, you can probably do some things. Because it's right, we'll just have to see how he's able to throw the ball as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
What about Evans?
Excuse me.
What about Evans?
Ralston, he's good. He's good. We had light work last night, and he was good to go. He just, he's got just kind of a bum knee that once in a while just kind of gives out or gets rolled up. Tough kid. He should be good to go.
Are you at a point where you might introduce Danny Cameron to more first-team looks in practice this week, or are you just considering Nate's injury, would you just go as Xander at this point?
Yeah, they're getting reps. If you say first, it's taken away from Xander's timing, vice versa. So we're trying to get them as many plays as we can. And so, for example, yesterday, there's a point in time they're on the field 20 minutes, 30 minutes more, just working on some footwork drops, handoff mechanics, just so many things that you take for granted that when you're young, they're laboring at. And when you're laboring on, hey, what's the cadence or what's the snap count, then, your rhythm and drops and your reads and progression. So the more you keep thrusting them to do stuff, and we're limited by hours and how much we can do, and, we got the rules and guidelines we got to follow, and we can't over-practice them. But, yeah, he's going to get reps. I guess he got it by rotation. He got some last night with the ones. It's kind of 50-50, and it's just because they both need reps. You'd like to go 100-100, like to have 2 practices going at one time, but it's kind of split down the middle right now. Again, still Xander's deal. We'll keep bringing Danny along. It'll be him or based on Nate's status if we had an issue there. And bottom line, we got to protect the quarterback and keep hits and keep him upright and keep him fresh, keep him clean.
How much of a challenge is it, you're midway through the season, all of a sudden you're shuffling quarterbacks, you're shuffling the offense. Just how tough is this to deal with on a week-to-week basis?
Well, it is what it is. So you deal with it. What you try to do, though, is you try to deal with it within the framework and structure of what you do. So you don't want brand new jobs for the other 10 people. So, like, we had some direct snap, you can call it wildcat, whatever, last week, but there was not one play that was a new block play. As a matter of fact, our runner a couple times panicked, and instead of running where he's supposed to, is the runner took off and bouncing it outside when it's an A-gap inside play or a cutback play, whatever. So, as we're trying to evolve to what we can do and give us a chance to score. We got to get the ball to our running backs. We got to get the ball to Shane Wynn. We got to get the ball down the field. And at the same time, it doesn't need to be a new play for the left guard or the right tackle. So, fortunately, we've been here long enough that those kids know a lot of the concepts. And each week concepts are different based on defense. This week, Penn State's defense is not exactly like Michigan's. There's some similarities, but not exactly like it. So each week, offensively, certain run plays or routes or protections get up or down based on the structure of the team you're going against and how you want to attack it. But right now, as we keep evolving, it's trying to find more ways to have some balance, get the ball down the field, get it outside. Got to throw it more, yeah, but it's a little bit of a confidence factor. He's, like you say, protection breaks down, he takes off running around. You got one quarterback hit, how many times you want the next quarterback getting hit? So you just got some dynamics you're doing. At the same time, we can't go into a shell and go 3 plays and punt. We got to get the ball down the field. We got to get the ball in the end zone. And it's going to be tough against these guys, but we're going to find some ways to do it. We got to.
What are your thoughts on Xander's mechanics just in terms of throwing the ball? I know that you weren't looking to play him this year. But how has his mechanics come along, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I don't know. Again, to say you're not looking to play or whatever, he graduated early. He comes in here. He throws it well. He's got a strong enough arm to do some things. But right now, with protection and with his footwork, he's so out of whack. He missed a wide open stop route the other day. Just, instead of throwing at you, he's stepping over here. So it's kind of like, in Don's golfing world, I think I'm hitting it down the middle, but I'm pointed 40 yards left to target with my body. And now I go to throw and I'm off target. So as you're young and you're a little bit all over the place, just your footwork and things get out of and it's not an excuse it's just things that you take for granted when you're laboring on everything, working to get the snap count, communication, what's going on, take a deep breath, where's the coverage, what's the rotation, what's going on, and now play the game. The more he plays, the easier it's going to be. That's the issues with Dan Cameron. Danny hadn't played yet, so you throw him out there. It's not like, hey, just put the next guy out there. It's a lot going on. You put them under fire as much as you can. We'll do as much this week as we can, good on good, so they feel people. We've been doing that. We try to get our defense, feel people coming at you, so you got to make shots. And, of course, you get in the game, your urgency and stress levels even increase more because a practice mistake, yeah, it's a mistake, but it's, quote, the practice format. You get in the game, it has major ramifications to the outcome of the game. So then you get hesitant. You get all over the place. So, again, mechanically, he's good. He's got to get bigger, stronger. But, again, as far as, if we're throwing a go ball, if we're throwing post, he's got the arm strength to do some stuff. Same time, when the pockets break it down, he starts running over place. Not good. And when he gets hyper and doesn't sit his feet and his rhythm gets out, no one's good. And that's kind of where he is right now. In practice, when he's under control, he's looked good. But that's practice. You can talk about that forever. He's got to take that, like we say a lot, into the game environment. We'll see if we can keep getting there. He's going to have to, because we're going to have to throw it a heck of a lot better. Need to Saturday.
Coach, how do you get the look you're looking for from a scout team quarterback at this point? Who's running that show?
Well, sometimes, again, we'll still have Danny go down there once in a while just to get, and we're going to do a little bit of good on good. At that time of the year, there'll be some things, for example, defensively and offensively, like, hey, they run this formation, this play, we'll run it for you, defense. Hey, defensively, they like this coverage or front or structure. Can you run it for us? So sometimes you can get a little bit of your practice in good on good. That's good for the young quarterback because you get a little bit more of game speed. We've got Bryce Smith, who's our next guy. He's a walk-on kid from downstate, from southern Indiana. Has been our scout team guy. Has been it for the last week or two. But that's who it is right now. But we'll do a little bit of good on good, Don, to manage it. We'll do some 7-on-7 good on good, because the quarterback needs to feel the speed and the defense needs to feel some route running. So we do about half of our stuff good on good. 1s-on-1s, 2s-on-2s.
You've talked about this before, but when somebody fumbles, is it the coach's discretion how long that they sit out?
Yeah, I mean, and that goes back, Coach Walker did that. Well, Coach Mallory did that to Coach Walker. I think the exact words were, "By God, Walker, don't you fumble that ball," from Coach Mal when he did the old spitting and pointing at it. And so that's how Coach Walker and Dylan McCullough, when he fumbled, came out. Travis Prentice came out. Damian Anderson, Northwestern, came out. Adrian Peterson, Oklahoma, came out. So it didn't matter who it was, where it was. Navy a couple years ago, when we're trying to get a first down, Tevin as a freshman goes the wrong way. Stephen Houston had let the ball on the ground the drive before. That's why the freshman was in the game. That rule has never changed, because if we allow fumbling, it's just, and Buck can tell you, that was your rule, right? You don't let go of the ball. And it was taught by Coach Mallory, right? It doesn't matter. You don't let go of the ball. And the only guy who gets a break is the QB, because he's so dynamic to everything. You just got to bust his chops in practice. But it doesn't matter whether you're a tight end, receiver, returner. Ball security is upmost, and we do all the drill work, but there needs to be a little something to that. And those guys know it, and that's why we've actually been, if you look at our track record, a pretty good small fumble team in our time here. It's not, you don't talk about it, there's means that. No, we need to create more defensively, but that's just how we were raised on it, coached on it. We're not going to, and again, it could be, for matter of fact, FYI, we went Wildcat to get him back in the game, and I made that call to get him back in. So that's how we broke the ice. I said, hey, I'm going Wildcat. Let's go, because I had both tailbacks out. So that kind of, it's a little sudden play call after the second drive. So we got to make our point, but also, we'll lose the game if the best player is allowed to get a break. And we'll keep losing more games, because like we told him a couple weeks ago when we started recognizing how good he was, that meant now he had the bullet on his chest. He needs to be held to a higher standard, because when you are the best player, it's a little bit of everybody's watching your work habits, and he's the greatest worker on our team. He's the best player on our team. And at the same time, he's human, and we just got to stay with that. And that, again, the way I've been taught since 1990, that's just the way it's always been. And has never been inconsistent. Didn't matter the game, didn't matter the opponent, didn't matter where. And that's why, again, we like D'Angelo Roberts as a good back, so you just go to the next one. So it'll be that way at every position.
Maybe it's a trade secret, but the Big Ten Network on Saturday showed a picture of play calls on the Indiana sideline, and it was a picture of 4 female sportscasters. Is that, what does that signal?
Well, if it's blonde hair, does it have an L going left? And if it's red hair, does it have an R going right? Or, if I told you everything, we'd have to kill you. Like who all's hurt and who's practicing. They don't give us an update of every injury. And it looked like Hackenberg hit his head pretty hard next last play and then fumbled the last snap. Do you have a concussion Saturday? Why don't you guys check that out and let me know if he's in or out this week? Because he snapped his head on the turf. So, it's just, you got those little boxes up there, and everybody does it, and it can be numbers, names, words, and they just know when to look at that, when not. Is it dummy? It's just a part of it's also for us an indicator of where the signals are, because it helps us. If you were actually on the home side, it would protect them from stealing your signals, because you're holding signs up where the people in the box looking at you can't steal your stuff. When on the other side, they're looking at you. So it has several purposes. It serves where signals are. It can be a way of disguising, although we're always on the visiting side so they can see you, because people got eyes on you trying to figure out what your play calls are. But our guys just know when to look up, and what does the Twitter signal mean? Does it mean anything? And sometimes it's just like when Peyton Manning and around this world saying Omaha, does that mean anything, or is it dummy language? A lot of times things are dummy, but it's all part of the disguise and the mechanics of play calling, and just kind of using your language and your signaling and your information signal to not make it so obvious what you're doing. Anything else? We need to get a picture of you guys up there. Is that what we'll do? We'll do that. You guys good? See you.